Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. How are you? I hope you're awesome. And big mahalo for tuning into this. Today we're welcoming a special guest who we're calling them in advance of a pair of island dates. December 3rd, they are coming through and they're going to be doing Maui at the McCoy Studio Theater at the MAC. And then December 4th, they're going to be heading to Honolulu and the Doris Duke Theater, where we'll have them here on Oahu. It's one of the two guitarists in an acoustic duo that features the combined guitar power of one of rock's critically acclaimed bands. It's a favorite of critics. These guys are favorites of musicians, music insiders, really for years. And this guy has a fascinating history, and I'd like to show it off just a bit for you today as we say a warm aloha and mahalo to guitarist and vocalist of the legendary Little Feat, Paul Barrere. Aloha, Brother Paul.
Oh, that's just too kind, I gotta say.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being willing to just take a few minutes to go over your storied history.
It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to getting back to the islands. I gotta tell you, it's one of my very favorite places on the earth.
That's cool. Well, you say that, what would it be about Hawaii that makes it that way for you personally?
Oh, man, I just like the laid back, there's sun, there's surf. Being born and raised in Southern California, I was a surfer when I was, younger. And I just, nowadays I won't get out there as much, but I sure enjoy watching it. And being in the sun is one of my favorites. And being able to play music there it's awesome. You can't ask for more.
No question about that. And then speaking of playing music here, I was hoping we could try to just go through informally your memories of coming to Hawaii to play over the years. If you can try to just trace back for me when that might have first been.
Well, the first one was in 1972. I had just joined Little Feat along with Sam Clayton and Kenny Gradney, who had come over from the Delaney and Bonnie band. And we joined up with Little Feat, and we started rehearsing and so forth. And our very first gig that we ever did was at the first Crater Festival. And it was incredible. It was like, we went up into the crater. There was a stage. There was a big tower where the mixing console was. And I guess our sound engineer was going crazy. He said because, the sound would start to get to him and then all of a sudden would blow away. So, that's my first time being on the island, let alone playing there. And, ever since then, we came back, I think it was 1976. We were there when Lowell was still alive, and we were playing outdoors at one of the venues. And Weather Report was in town at the same time, and Jaco Pastorius, the great bass player, came and sat in with us.
Oh, that's huge.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
You got memories. Was that at the Waikiki Shell, maybe?
I think it was, and I got pictures of it too. It's like it was totally awesome.
Wow! And how long did he sit in, and what did he do with you guys?
He sat in on a couple of songs. One was Apolitical Blues, where he took a bass solo for about 5 minutes. It was just ungodly. We've always been kind of a jam band, even before the term jam band, because we kind of based Little Feat on the idea of music is music, don't pigeonhole yourself, play country, play rock, play jazz, play whatever, and improvise. If you're a musician, you should, you can play the heads, you can play the verses, the choruses, but in between, you should be able to get off,
Yeah, man.
So it's always been that kind of ideal about the band. I don't know if you heard, but Fish just did on their
Waiting for Columbus on Halloween.
Waiting for Columbus, the whole album. I was blown away. I actually got an email from Trey that which blew me away because I was trying to get a hold of him to thank him, and he said, "Oh man, I should be thanking you for the years of good music." So, it's nice to be in a band that is well respected. It really is. And I tell people it's better to be known as an aging musician than an aging rock star.
Oh, no doubt. And the nice thing, I think, that you pointed out a couple things there that are valuable to highlight. One is the versatility of the band, which comes from your approach of sort of improvising a variety of musical styles together. And it's evidenced by having a cat of, Jaco's quality coming up on stage and sitting in with you. Are there any other memories that you have connected to Hawaii where there are friends or other musicians in the community here who have sat in other than that time with Jaco?
None really of us playing over there with people sitting in with us, but we unfortunately haven't played in Hawaii as much as I would like to. We came a couple of times, since the Reformation in '88.
Yeah, I saw you in 2003 or 4, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a while. I know that.
Was that the last time you were here? It was Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. I believe it was the fall of '03.
That's right. And it was actually very nice. It was, it wasn't extremely hot. It was kind of mellow.
That's cool. So yeah, I guess I was more meaning like because we have the rich history with local musicians here and the ukulele and the pedal steel and stuff. So and you're a guitar cat. So just checking on in terms of the stuff you enjoy personally, none of that stuff finds its way into your pattern of consumption.
No, not while we were there. I mean, when we played Bonnaroo, Jake said it. Was it Jake? Gosh, I don't remember.
Oh, nice. That was earlier this year, Bonnaroo?
No, 08.
Wow, Bonnaroo 08. You guys had Jake sit in, and you know Jake through playing here, or?
Oh, actually, Billy had met him when Billy was playing with Jimmy Buffett. And so, we kind of stayed in contact, and he sat in with us a couple of times, actually, over the years. But that man's a monster. I had actually seen a video of him and Stanley Clark doing some material from Return to Forever, and I went, I got to meet that cat. That cat's got the jazz.
Yeah, no, he's a monster, and he just did we had Victor Wooten through earlier this year, and he was sitting in with him. They were doing Beatles covers. It was mind-boggling to watch.
Oh, I'll bet. Victor is an awesome bassist.
Yeah, man, he is a savage. When fans are, this is an exciting pair of dates, as I was saying, introducing you, that we have, that we're very fortunate to get as you guys stop through town. Kind of describe, for people who are going to be headed to the shows, who are probably Little Feat fans, what can they expect in terms of this if they're unfamiliar with the Paul and Fred Tackett, the little tours that you do?
Well, we do, we do a lot of Feat songs. We do, some songs like from Fred's solo projects and a couple from my solo projects. We do some covers of the band, Mose Allison, things like that. But mostly what it is, it's a folkier, bluesier approach to, and kind of shows people where the songs came from, their infancy, if you will, because a lot of these songs were just written with a couple of guitars. And so, it allows us to sort of replicate the infancy of the material itself, and it highlights the song as opposed to the strength of the rhythm section of Little Feat. And when the whole band is playing, it's like you almost lose track of the songs. So this is a really nice way to connect people with the song and the lyric. I like to tell a lot of stories on the birth of the different material and where it comes from. Sometimes even those stories are true. And it's a fun sort of departure from that the big sound. And I got to say, Fred and I have been playing together for so long now. It's we got that sort of telepathy going to where we'll change the arrangement on the spot. It's amazing to me, and I love doing it. We just finished doing an East Coast trip, the two of us. Seems like we're doing it more and more with Little Feat cutting back on dates. Because let's face it, we ain't getting any younger. And so Fred and I, for the last 3 years, up until this one, we've been traveling through the UK mainly at the end of the year and doing shows in little theaters and pubs and what have you. And so it's nice that we get to come back to Hawaii and do it. We did it, I think, about 3 years ago, where we played a couple of shows, one up on the North Shore in Haleiwa and one in Honolulu. And it was such a good time that, Kevin Scott, who brought us over, has been trying to get us back, and we just haven't had the opportunity to do it until this year.
Oh, that's cool. And I hadn't known that you came in, so in 2000, what was that, like 07 or something?
2007, yeah.
And where did you play, Haleiwa?
We played up in Haleiwa at a bar, which was interesting. It was very cool. And then we played at a kind of a little art center in Honolulu that I can't even remember the name of. But then again, I can't remember yesterday. So
you've been doing so good so far in the thing here. So you have there been other personal trips? I just get the feeling of familiarity you seem to have with the islands. Do you have, other than Kevin, are there friends that you have here?
Oh yeah, I have longtime friends over on Kauai who have been there for 25, 30 years. One of the gentlemen, actually, who worked a lot with Little Feat and recording, Ron Pendragon, has a nice place over in Kauai. And me and the family, we love coming to Hawaii. It's, when I can, I like to bring the whole family and just chill out. And, I'm big into that golf thing, so I like going to Maui a lot, too, up by Kapalua. And
how often are you here?
Let's see. I've probably been over there, oh gosh, every other year for maybe the last 15 years.
And you go, you ever been to the Big Island?
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of the first times I went there was, what was it, 1973 or 74. And, stayed at one of the resorts. It was primo. And, the nice thing is, you get over there, you can either stay at a resort, you can get a condo, you can get you can camp out, whatever you want to do. It's like, but there's so much to do. There's so much to see, I mean, I got to tell you, one of my favorite spots though is Honolulu Bay. I can kick it back up there like no business.
What do you like about Honolulu Bay? It's a very special place. What is it that inspires you?
Well, I love, the proximity to the end of the road and hiking back towards Napili. And I like the bay itself, let's see, last time I was there was about 10 years ago, so there were maybe 52. And you can still ride waves there, It's, I can't get out there on the North Shore with the young studs, but, in some areas of Hawaii, you can still catch a decent wave, get a little ride. I'm telling you, it doesn't take much to excite an old man.
No, that's great that you have the connection that you do, and I can see how your Southern California background would inform your taste in vacationing here, and that's nice that you bring your family. Is there an enduring memory of anything that you guys have done together here that's sort of special?
Oh gosh, every time we come there is special. It's just, it'll be neat this time. I'm bringing my son, he's actually been traveling all year as well. He's learning how to become a front of house mixer. And so he's been in Europe all year long, and we haven't seen each other at all. So we're going to spend a whole week together on the island. It's going to be nice.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's a good place for doing that. And you, through the years, talking about going back to the early 70s and playing here, like you said, and even visiting the islands. In the early 70s, I know that, the group, you joined the band after an influential early period, but was Frank Zappa still around when you arrived in 72?
No, he wasn't. When Lowell had written the song Willin', for instance, he was still in Frank's band and played it for Frank. And Frank always had a little aversion towards, drug references. And so, anytime you say weed, it was a little dicey for Frank to deal with. So that's when Frank said, why don't you start a band? And that's when Lowell put together Little Feat. He got a hold of Billy Payne, who had been sending tapes to Frank because Billy wanted to be part of the
Mothers?
Frank Zappa band. Yeah, he wanted to play in the Mothers like crazy, as did so many players around the California area, because Frank was known for having all the best players. Excuse me. And so they started Little Feat, and they had just, they released the first record, and, I'd known Lowell since I was about 14 because he went to school with my older brothers. So I'd seen them, progress. And I even auditioned as a bass player back when they were first starting, but I couldn't play bass to save my ass. So I didn't get that gig, but I told them if they ever needed a second guitar player, please call me. And so right when they released Sailing Shoes, Roy Estrada decided to leave and join Captain Beefheart's band. which in hindsight probably wasn't the best of career moves, but it's pretty interesting resume to go from Zappa to the Mothers to Little Feat to Captain Beefheart. I think that's a pretty cool resume.
Very.
But not great for the bank account. What can I say?
That's comedy. When the thing that I think a lot of people find interesting about you, you're a Southern California cat, and you're in this band that are known for having this sound that coalesced around New Orleans sort of funk. How did that sound come to be the thing that Lowell or whatever, it became the passion of the group?
It's funny, when you listen to the first two records, it's really not as evident, that whole second line movement. But when Kenny and Sam and I joined just before Dixie Chicken, I think we added a little bit more of the funk, if you will. And Lowell had just been in New Orleans working with Robert Palmer and the Meters on Robert Palmer's first record, and that's how he had met Alex Hussein, and so we did On Your Way Down, and I think Lowell got the fever, if you will, from that visit. And then, we all kind of drew back to, when we were first listening to rock and roll, and who were we listening to? Well, we were listening to Fats Domino. We were listening to Little Richard. We were listening to Huey Piano Smith. We were, all the stuff that, what I like to say, the kind of music that makes you good feeling good, So I think that was really the driving force behind the sound of Little Feat, whereas L.A., towards the mid-'70s started to get into a whole sort of highly polished, very produced kind of sound, although it's hard to figure the L.A. sound. I think it was just pop music.
Right, yeah, I was going to say pop was the driving force.
Yeah, money.
Right, except revenue, right. How did you get to know Robert Palmer?
Oh, yeah.
What was he like?
Great. He was a very cool cat. His first band, Vinegar Joe, was extremely funky, and he came from England, and he was all into the R&B. And when we were actually putting the band back together, Billy and I, in '86 and '87, we had thought about asking Robert to join, but he had just transformed from that kind of funky pressure drop kind of stuff to his more big hits, Some People and Addicted to Love and things like that, which, God bless him, it was a major coup for his career.
It was. He had a great voice, but that old stuff, that like Sneakin' Sally Through the Alley kind of thing, was just some nasty grooves back then.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I got stories I could tell you about Robert, but we couldn't put him on the air.
That's
good.
Get
some good times.
I like that. I bet. Speaking of that sort of, getting back to the later '70s, I guess, as we move through your life, what was your relationship? Where was it at with Lowell when he died?
It was strained at that point. For some reason, and I think about this a lot too. He and Billy were kind of at odds over, production and so forth. Billy wanted to have more of a hand in the production of the material and so forth. And Lowell, he had already, acquiesced a lot as far as, telling us to become more prolific in our songwriting and what have you. And so I had become more aligned with Billy in writing songs, although I'd written songs with Lowell as well. And so since there was a strain between Lowell and Bill, hence there was a little bit of a strain between Lowell and myself. But I didn't, at that time I was kind of the walking wounded, and I was kind of oblivious to a lot of these kind of things, if you will. And, but, I look back on it and I think, God, I owe that man so much. He was a mentor, he was a friend, he was, he was like the older brother that, kind of led me around a little bit, when I first got into this whole world of craziness. And, it's sad thinking about him and now Richie both being gone. It's just amazing to me that the rest of us are here.
I can imagine, considering the stuff you were up to. When you say you think of him a lot, is it do you wish that things had ended on a different note? What is it? What's the timbre of those thoughts?
Oh, mostly respect. I mean, that's another lovely thing about doing the Paul and Fred shows is that we can do Roll 'Em Easy, we can do Trouble, we can do Long Distance Love. You know, the band, I mean, does Dixie Chicken and Spanish Moon and all the more raucous kind of stuff. And we'll occasionally bite into one of those as the duet, but mostly the softer, edgier side of Lowell's music we can portray, and it's pretty sweet. And when I say I think about him in the mere fact that it's great to be able to continue a legacy that was started by such a wonderful musician. Lowell was very enigmatic in the fact that he could be, a sweetheart one minute and very demon-esque the next, but it was just all part of his genius, really.
Yeah, well, you said it. You were legacy is the word, and you're in a lot of ways. As you were saying there, I was listening to you. You can pay tribute. The show that you have now is a way that it can be a vehicle to pay tribute to any number of things that have touched your life. But certainly, Lowell could be included in that. When was the last time? Do you remember the last time that you had seen him alive?
Oh my gosh, it was. It was probably the last show we did in '78. Oh no, it wasn't. We were recording down on the farm, and in the middle of that project, he had to go out on the road and promote his solo record where he passed away. So it would probably have to have been somewhere around March or April of '79.
Yeah, so not a clear. There's not like a clear. It's not like, yep, I remember we were eating at the such and such place or whatever.
No. Well, no, I don't have that recollection exactly because, we were, like I said, we were in the middle of doing a recording, and then we had to kind of put it on the back burner while Lowell went out on the road.
Right.
And so while he was, out there doing it,
right.
He passed away.
Yeah, I'm familiar with a buddy of mine who I don't expect you to remember him by any stretch of the way, but his name was he was a famous Boston DJ, Mark Parento, and Mark he knew Lowell pretty well, and he actually did the last interview with him. Just right, he was on that solo tour, and he had gigged at the Paradise in Boston, which you've been in, and he had done a solo gig there, and he had done an appearance on WBCN, and then it was like literally within a day or two, and he was.
Yeah, I think they went to Hartford and then to DC, and then that night he passed away.
Right, yeah, something like that was the deal. When you think of all the gigs you've gotten to do, you're such a fortunate guy because now you've transcended. You're able to bring and as we were just talking in the last segment there, basically you are able to bring all of the little bits of your past plus new things together. Is there an era or are there gigs, concerts perhaps, that you hold with sort of reverence in your memory that now, after all these years and being able to incorporate all the different music from your life, from this vantage point, they sort of occur to you as seminal or significant?
Well, there's the couple gigs that we did with the Stones that will always stand out. The Warner Brothers music tour with the Doobies and Tower Power. All the gigs recording Waiting for Columbus, will always stand out. But nowadays it's like the last gig I did is the best. It's like it's just being a musician is like being able to actually earn a living as a musician is probably the greatest blessing anyone could possibly have. It's like being an artist or an actor and being able to support yourself doing it because you're dealing in something that is it sort of transcends time. When you're in the moment of creating something, you're in Satori, you're in Nirvana, you are. Unless it's just total crap and you're just, kind of doing busy work or something like that. let me tell you, there's been some sessions like that, where you're going, oh, the best part of this gig was the phone call.
Right. Best part of this gig was the blow.
Exactly. So it's, for the most part, it's, you're on top of the world. It's like, holy mackerel. And I get paid to do this? No, we decided we don't get paid to do that. We get paid to travel. 14 hours on a bus. Okay.
It's great though when you said something, transcend time. Your 2008 live in UK release of you and Fred acoustic, basically a representation of what people here in the islands are going to get to see. What's the availability of that thing? And I wanted to talk a little bit about the photo shoot on the cover, because when you said transcend time, that's a great cover, and I'd like to hear about what it was like to be there when you shot the picture.
Well, here's the funny story behind that is we were touring England. We had the day off. We were going from London to Essex, I believe it is, and we decided, okay, let's go to Stonehenge, And we had a couple of friends with us. We had Fred's wife, Patricia, who carries her Canon movie camera with her everywhere. So we said, well, let's take instruments in there and do a song, So as we're, you got to pay a fee to go see Stonehenge these days. So we're going through, I'm holding the guitar, Fred's holding the mandolin. The guy says, what are you doing? I said, we're going to jam with the Stones. He went, what? I said, we're going to go, just play. He goes, this is not for a commercial release. I said, no, not at all. And so we went in and we did a version of Long Black Veil.
Wow.
And which is actually on the paulandfred.net website that you can see. It's kind of spooky and eerie, but our friends all had cameras in there taking pictures of us while we were there. So we decided, in the grandest tradition of Spinal Tap to, call the record company Stonehenge Records. And we're just sick. What can I say? And the availability of that record was, it was done in the UK, and we used it mainly to sell in the UK, and they had just shipped me the last 150 copies of it, and we sold them all on the last tour we did on the East Coast. So now I'm in the process of trying to get some made. I doubt that I'll be able to get them made in time for our trip over there, but eventually I'll have them up on our website where people can get them.
That's a great picture. That place is it as intense to be at as when you watch it on TV? Is it at all a letdown? What's it like being there?
It's magical. It really is. You feel a vibe, if you will, not to be too 60s LA, but there's a certain aura to the place. But then all over the UK, there are stone crops and stone circles and places like that people never hear about. We went to one up in Scotland that was just unbelievable. And, that's the other nice thing about, traveling with Fred is that we get to go do these kind of things where we were traveling with the whole band. Well, there wouldn't be any time to go do something like that.
Right.
You got to go from one town to the other with the bus and the truck and get there and get it set up. And, it's like we kind of plan it to enjoy the, all the different accoutrements of the areas.
Right. You get to make the outing. It's a tour that not only are you bringing your music out there and making a living, you're seeing some nice stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm impressed, man. Well, we're looking forward to welcoming you here, and I'll leave you with this note. I just had Steve Berlin on from Los Lobos yesterday, and he says they are very, very, very sorry about the Jamaica thing.
Oh, I know. It just worked out that way. Eric Clapton calls them up and goes, "You guys want to open a tour for us?" I mean, we would have done the same thing. I mean, you got to go, do the right thing. And, our little Jamaica thing is just a party. We just go down there and have a party. So
you've been there before, right?
Oh, yeah, this is going to be our 9th time.
Whew,
10 years in a row. We just take over this resort. We got it down now. It's like best.
You always get, what is it, Breezes?
Yeah. And it's, it's Jamaica, man.
Dude, I went to, I've been to since you've been there, so you've outdone me 9 times over. I've been to the Bloody Bay, the Ryu Tropical Bay in Bloody Bay, like right on the top part of Negril.
Yeah.
I love that place.
I like Negril a lot. I also like the other end of the island up there at Runaway Bay. I never did make it over to Kingston.
Well, I've never done any of those. What, Runaway Bay, that's like on the east side?
Yeah, the east.
Like,
the far eastern part.
Okay. Wow, that's cool, dude. You've been around. It's that's a cool gig, though. I'm envious. I always tell my girlfriend she's never been there. I'm like, Negril, man, gotta go. We were looking at that, and I brought it up to Steve because it's still online. There's nothing that says it's canceled. And I'm like, man, I can't believe this gig you've got coming up. I'm really looking forward. I wish I could go to the thing in Jamaica. And he was
I haven't announced it because we're scrambling around to get a replacement. We'd asked Tower Power, they can't do it. We're going to try and get maybe the Subdues. We'll find somebody. It'll be a party.
I'm sure it will be. That's cool. You asked TOP. They just came through not long ago. Emilio, he's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
Well, we're going to pump up the volume on the show, and I'm really looking forward to your visit. And please know when you're here, if it's at all working into your schedule, we have a beautiful performance studio in our building, and gorgeous. It has capability to just have a nice little acoustic thing if you wanted, even if you just wanted to just talk. But I'd love to have you guys come by and visit if it's at all possible.
Well, Dave, keep my number. I'll have it with me when I'm over there. Give me a shout. Because, like I said, I'll just be kicking back for 5 days, and we'll come off the North Shore and down to Honolulu and see you guys.
And even if you were available to me, I'd truck up there to record a thing with you while you were here. I'd make it convenient, Paul.
Right on, thanks, bro. And come on, bring some of that 420 with you down to the theater.
Oh, that's what I said. If you're up on the North Shore, I'll come up there and do a nice recording session. I'll take good care of you.
All right, bro.
Travel safe, brother Paul. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun today. I hope this wasn't an inconvenience at all.
Not at all, man. I loved it.
Cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Be safe. I'll see you soon. Aloha.
Aloha. Here we go. Aloha. Hey, this is Paul Barrere from Little Feat. You're listening to the only show that matters. That's Dave Lawrence right there. And don't touch that dial.